Welcome to another Daily Shower. I'm Matt Makins. A lot to go through in this one. We have a storm system on the way that may deliver tornadoes, severe thunderstorms in one region, and heavy snowfall with winter driving impacts in another. Let's get started with the dates that we are most worried about. That's going to be Monday the 28th into the 29th, and also the 30th will be the largest impact. Let's set the stage. I'll show you the storm system, the storm pattern, and the impacts coming our way.
All right, so let's look at the satellite picture here first off. This is the sunrise as it moves across the globe, but main storm flow still near and over Alaska, near to mostly. And then the storms are diving down through Canada, moving across the US, and curling up toward the northeast. That's our main storm flow. For Colorado, the Pacific Northwest, the western US, here is that next storm system as of Sunday midday, late morning into midday. And that storm system is going to be bringing us some snowfall. We'll have more on that in just a moment. And then points east of here, we're actually going to have a risk of severe weather, including damaging thunderstorms. Let's switch that view. Same satellite picture, just for the eastern U.S. now. The last storm system, which continues to churn over Ohio and head toward Pennsylvania, New York, on up to the north and east, continues to follow that same storm flow that we were talking about. This next storm system, though, as it begins to move in, it's going to move over Colorado, weaken somewhat, and take the same path. But what it's going to do is going to draw in some moisture from the south and the east over the tropics here, and that's going to produce some severe weather later this week. Let me touch on that now. Here is a risk of severe weather from Tuesday into Wednesday morning, and the highest risk areas are highlighted here. So from the Gulf Coast states, mostly around Louisiana and far eastern Texas, all the way up into the southern tip of Illinois. That will be the highest risk of severe weather, and that may include hail, damaging wind, and even an isolated tornado would be possible with this line of thunderstorms. So that's going to be impressive there. Let's set the stage with where the storm is now, however, now that you have that hazard for Tuesday into Wednesday. In the meantime, we're going to be tracking some snowfall and all the current hazards that we have across the western U.S. right here. They're related to wind, some fire danger, and snow and travel conditions. But it's all going to be because of this wintry mix that's about to move through. In that same area, using the ambient weather network as of right now, so Sunday midday, ambient weather network is really awesome, in my opinion. It includes all kinds of personal weather stations. You can see the temperatures here listed, 30s and 40s, but you can also select webcams. Like here's one for an example, and you see them listed here on the right. And we can track the storm as it moves in. So I like the combination of weather stations and those that also include webcams. Pretty neat, ambientweather.net. But right now, relative calm before the storm. So when does this all happen? Let's focus on that. Our storm system sitting right in here across the western U.S. So you keep your eye on that, and let's just go forward in time here. And as we go from Sunday afternoon into Monday morning and now Monday evening, you see a pair of lows here. The one over southern Canada, which will be stronger, and another one developing over Colorado. And that's going to give Colorado and parts of the Rockies a chance of some snowfall from Utah into Wyoming, Colorado, and then eventually onto the plains too, like Nebraska and Kansas. This is Tuesday morning. We have snow stretching from Minneapolis out toward Denver and out toward Salt Lake. As that system continues into Tuesday afternoon and evening, lingering snow around Colorado, heavier impacts have now developed from Des Moines on up into sections of Wisconsin into the Great Lakes. And that's as that low develops, gains some strength. On the south side of that low, we have greens here, and that's indication of rain and thunderstorms. That's when we'll begin to watch that potential for severe or damaging weather increasing in the form of thunderstorms into Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Here we are Wednesday morning, Wednesday midday, into Wednesday evening, and then Thursday midday. That storm is rapidly moving up into Canada and beginning to clear the U.S. On the backside of it, another system bringing some rain and snow for the western U.S. But that's over the next couple of days as far as that storm system is concerned across the northern hemisphere. Let's take a little closer look here, zooming into the U.S. only. And this is Tuesday. Well, technically Tuesday in the weather world, but Monday evening otherwise. See the low sitting right here over southeastern Colorado? That's going to provide enough energy across Colorado to generate some lines of snow showers. And that snow will continue from Monday night into Tuesday morning and Tuesday midday around Denver. Worst commute, likely Tuesday morning unless the timing dramatically shifts, but Tuesday morning is probably going to be slow. Now, as we get into Wednesday morning, there's that line on down to the south. So imagine that cold front draped right in here, and that cold front, I should have used a blue pen, not an orange one, but we'll scoot on this direction. And that's going to be the driving force, kind of like a bulldozer, if you will. And that's going to be the driving force of the energy and the risk for severe weather over the south that we described. And then that system clears out. It will be interesting. I'm going to scoot way ahead into early parts of next week. There's a low that's out here over California. Should that develop, it's going to throw quite a bit more moisture at the southwest, California, Nevada, Utah, and potentially Colorado too. So I think it'll be interesting early next week, a week from now, about what week to 10 days or so, to watch that system and see where it ultimately sets up. Low pressure would be rather low, as indicated here, and the perfect path would deliver some really heavy snowfall to parts of the Rocky Mountain region. So we'll see if that system pans out and if it does the exact track. But that's into next week for you anyway.
And let's chat about snowfall. How much and where?
Just looking at snowfall in Colorado, and then I'll broaden the view and turn some of these cities off. But we're looking at, generally speaking, some decent snowfall totals in the northern and northwestern areas of the mountain range through the Colorado here. So we're going to be looking at, in some cases, over a foot of snowfall farther to the north into the Denver area, Boulder, Fort Collins, Greeley, kind of sitting within a 4 to 6 inch range or so. Into the foothills, and more like a 2 to 5 inch range for the vast majority of the metro area. That's based on the current timing. And again, you can read more on this at weather5280.com. Okay, I'm going to broaden the view and turn off some of these cities. You'll see it gets rather cluttered here in just a moment. So turn some of these off, and we're going to fly into the northwest and look at the snowfall here. And we're going to be looking at some of the highest totals stretching between Portland and Seattle. So right through the Cascades, really beneficial snowfall. Nice to have that snowpack. The deeper purples that we have here, that's going to be 18 to 24 inches or so. That's going to be quite a bit of snowfall. And then right around 2 feet as you look between Portland and to the north and west. So Rainier, Mount St. Helens, etc. We're looking at quite a bit of snowfall there as part of those ranges. And then lesser snowfall totals as you look out toward Idaho. Here's Missoula, Wallace, Lewiston, down toward Boise. Yes, we still have snowfall, but we're kind of looking at more like a 6 to 12 inch range on the highest side for these areas. Generally speaking, a couple to a few inches, kind of like what I showed you around the Colorado area. Let's go down into Yellowstone, and this bullseye of blue is going to represent around a foot of snowfall or so. But the vast majority of Wyoming sees snow, just not a lot of it, couple to a few inches in most cases. There's that bullseye in Colorado. As we go across Nebraska, go into Iowa, southern Minnesota, we have mostly a couple to a few inches kind of within that stripe. But then you look out here toward northern Wisconsin, get closer to the Great Lakes, and there's going to be another region with several inches on the way. This is going to be 6 to 10, 6 to 8, somewhere in there around Ironwood. So valuable snowfall on the way for a lot of folks. It's great moisture to have, especially out here in the Rockies. We need to add to it.
So, what does this mean in terms of winter driving?
And now, as we take a look at some of the winter driving conditions, where is the impact going to be highest? Certainly here out across the north, you can see even with some what I would call moderate snowfall totals in northwestern Wyoming, we're going to have some big travel impacts. A lot of wind comes through to blow that snow around. So that's going to be problematic from Lander and Riverton, Thermopolis to Cody, off into Yellowstone and close to the Tetons, out to about Idaho Falls, down to the south in Logan, Ogden, Salt Lake City. Those areas will have some higher impact from the snowfall as well. And then look throughout the Cascades. High impact event on the way with that heavy snowfall as it falls in combination in some cases with that wind. Around Colorado, into southern Wyoming, sections of Nebraska, into Iowa, and around Minneapolis. We do have an impact coming through here, but by comparison to elsewhere, it is a minor to moderate impact coming through. Just Colorado, the Denver area, up through Fort Collins and Cheyenne may have a slick and slow commute on Tuesday morning. And we know how even a minor, I would call it, amount of snowfall We just can't seem to handle it. As a driving community here in the Denver metro area, Minneapolis, you're going to have some snowfall coming through as we get into late Tuesday through Wednesday, and that's going to produce some travel impact there in the Twin Cities.
There are other hazards other than just over the next few days. Let's go into next week.
So everything on your screen is a hazard or potential hazard for next week. And you can see the dates listed. So let's break it down a little bit. I'll just clear some of these off and we'll start off with temperatures. Biggest impact is much below normal temperatures shown here from the 3rd to the 9th, from California up to Washington, stretching out toward the Great Lakes. That'll be the biggest bullseye of cold. However, we will have colder than normal temperatures potentially move into, say, Des Moines or St. Louis, Omaha, Denver, Cheyenne, potentially down to Oklahoma City and Santa Fe too. This would just be where the coldest of those anomalies will be. Now, as we toggle on something else like precipitation, highest risk of heavy rainfall is going to be the 3rd through the 5th, and you see that kind of covers Nashville and Memphis, down close to Dallas, up in the Boot Heel of Missouri, and close to Cincinnati. That's a threat coming our way for next week. As far as snowfall, the highest risk for disruptive snowfall is also the 3rd through the 5th, and that'll be in sections of Oregon, down into California, and along the Sierras.
That's your daily shower. We'll have more on next week's impact coming out in a future video. If you're around Colorado, some of the details provided here are also linked in www.weather5280.com. I probably don't need to say the www part anymore, do I? I'm old, whatever. I'll see you next time on the Daily Shower.